Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner operator of ExpertlyDyed Art by Science, and now we are actually going to clean the drum carder. And if you'll remember, when I talked about the tools in the drum carder videos before the tutorial, you will know that this is what I'm using to clean my drum carder and how inefficient it is. Buy the tools that you need, not the ones that sort of fit the bill for now. So this is what I'm going to clean my drum carder with. And normally when you clean, there's a rhyme and a reason to why you do things the way you do, like when you sweep the floor to mop it, right? That makes sense. You don't want the dust to be on the ground when you're mopping because wet dust is a pain in the butt to deal with. Alright, so when it comes to actually cleaning the drum carder, you're going to want to clean the liquor before the swift. Otherwise, if you clean the swift first and then the liquor, what often will happen is you'll loosen up some of the fibers that are stuck here, and then it's going to transfer over to the swift, which is what it's supposed to do. So basically it would negate any kind of cleaning that you would do on the main drum. So let's do things in the proper order, okay? Normally I stand to do all these things, but you know, the camera, the angles, you know, this is like set up in front of the computer. So I'm just going to do it from a seated position, but normally I like to do this standing. When it comes to like general carding though, I do like to sit. I'm a little bit lazy, especially when I'm doing it for 8 hours in a day. Yeah, it happens. Anyway, so what you're going to do is with one hand, you're going to turn the crank, and with the other hand, you're going to gently lift up the fibers. You're going to hear a lot of noise like metal against metal. That's fine. I'm not damaging my drum carder. It just is the best way to clean it. Even if you look at the doffer tool, they will have the tines be as long as the ones on your carder usually. So just don't press down really hard or anything like that, because you might actually just damage the cloth rather than the tines, and you don't want to bend the tines because then you're not going to be very efficient with your carding. So gentle pressure. Let's go with gentle pressure, okay? So I'm going to just come over here and just start picking them up like this. Okay. And usually when this gets kind of full, like that, I'll just take this off and then I'll put it in my little fish bowl of wonder. So in here there's all kinds of fun little fiber bits. The ends of my, like I would buy a pound of wool, for example, and like the little bit that was left over I didn't know what to do with, so I just kind of shoved it in here. Anything that I pull off the drum carder that isn't disgusting, I put back in here. I mean, you don't want to keep the vegetable matter from sheep. I mean, no. So anything that I would use again would go back in here. I also have, if you can see here, some like little strips of yarn for like when I tie off skeins. Sometimes I'll just reuse these to tie off other skeins of yarn. Sometimes I'll actually incorporate it into batts or spinning or something like that. So I think those pieces are also really useful to keep. But basically anything that comes off the drum carder that I think would be great for a second time through with batts or whatever, it goes in here. And then especially when I make my pottage batts, this is some of the fiber that I use for that. So that goes in there, and then you just keep going. So this whole thing will get cleaned off. Like that. And for the pieces that are really deep down in there, you can use a metal or as a wire brush. You can get those pieces out. Normally, I don't really care so much because most of the time when I make batts, it's kind of like an assembly line. Like I'll make so many of one color, and then I'll clean it off real quick and put a new color on. So there's a little bit of transfer on my batts. However, if you are really specific about what goes into your batts, you'll definitely want to take some extra time to really clean all this stuff off. But like I said, for me, I just try to get most of it off. But really, I try to spend more time cleaning the swift part of the drum, because this is actually what gets taken off when you've made your batt, right? Because you see that. So I'm just going to bend this down a little bit so you can see a little better. Have to clean this thing off every once in a while. the Angelina really likes to get stuck to this, so I have to, you know, take it off sometimes by hand. Anyway, and then we're going to do the drum. So I'm probably going to make several passes with this, but normally I would probably just get the bulk of it off, unless I'm doing something that is supposed to have a natural look, like plain white or just a plain natural wool color, for example. I will get this as clean as I possibly can. So I'll remove all the Angelina, all the sari silk, any like bits of colored wool, and really the Angelina is a pain in the butt to get out of here, especially with this thing, because it's really not, this isn't a useful tool, guys. It's really not useful. But, you know, it gets most of it out, and that's really what I'm focused on. I will say something that I do that I don't encourage you to do at all. Occasionally I'll get some stubborn fibers, and I will use this to kind of like help pick it up so that I could grab it with my hand. So there's a piece of green fiber here. You probably can't see it, but maybe it's like right here. I might just take this straight down at the drum carder and just gently lift it up. So the tines are bending just a little bit, but I'm not applying hardly any pressure. I'm just trying to grab some of the fibers that are stuck and just gently lift it up, and there's a whole length of it. So if I go down the entire length of it, I'll be able to go back with the brush to pick the rest of it up. Ouch. Alright. So I don't know if you could tell if there's any difference there. Maybe I should use a different fiber. But this green was on there, and I removed it just now by gently lifting it up with the owl. Okay, it's a knitting needle with the owl. And using the brush to help completely lift it off without ruining my drum carder. So that's basically what I do to clean it. Make sure that every once in a while you take like some compressed air and you clean off. Sometimes there's dust that will accumulate, especially if you process fleeces with this. There's going to be a little bit of extra, maybe dust from alpaca, or maybe a little bit of lanolin might get stuck on there. Sometimes there's like fiber dust that gets produced when you use your drum carder a lot, which that happens to me because I use it quite a lot. And then I just I turn this real quick, put some air over it, air over the liquor as well, just to clean them off a little bit. And in terms of storage, I just kind of leave it like this. If you're going to do long-term storage, like if you don't use your drum carder at least 2 to 3 times a week, you should take the drive band off, which is this orange thing here in the back. This is how the crank works. I move this, the drive band goes, and everything moves together. Take that off so that it doesn't get too stretched out. And then I would also make sure that if you are going to store it for any period of time, even if it's like, oh, I really want to get back to my drum carder, take that like 10 or 15 minutes, clean off all the fiber that you can, and then let it store, because otherwise the fiber is going to attract all kinds of nasties, and you do not want those little nasties sitting on your drum carder, especially if you just want to go out and use the drum carder for like a minute to make a little batt or whatever. Then you'll at least have something clean to start with, instead of it's like washing the dishes. Wash the dishes after dinner. Don't wait until like 3 days later when it's like stuck on and hard and gross. And you're like, ugh, I'll just buy some paper plates. You don't want to just buy any drum carder. Anyway, so that is how I take care of my drum carder. In terms of like more advanced cleaning, depending on the model that you have, sometimes the fiber will accumulate down here by the crank, and then I use a combination of scissors and like needle nose pliers. I'll like pull up the fiber and snip it, and then I'll remove it. It's actually not hard. It's just something that you probably have to do every couple of months. I try my best to make sure it doesn't happen, but it happens inevitably. You can also take this whole thing apart and do it that way as well if you want, especially if you're going to be changing out your Swift regularly. It's a great opportunity to just get rid of that disgustingness. There are some models that require you to use oil, so I'm not really going to go too much into that. I only use oil occasionally. I use it down here by the crane. So usually the reason why I end up oiling it is because the wood can expand and contract depending on what the weather is in your house, what the weather is outside. So every once in a while I'll get a little bit of squeaky noises, and I'll put just a little bit of my spinning oil down here to get rid of it. But I probably oil it maybe once or twice a year, and it's only just a little bit. So I don't really think it hurts it, but it usually gets rid of that squeaking noise. So yeah, otherwise just store it on a good sturdy table, so not like the one that I'm using. I usually have this on my big beefy crafting table, but I can't drag that over here because it would basically like take up this entire space, and then I would have to do like a Superwoman thing where I like lift it up over my head and like put it down. That's not going to happen anyway. So this is how you clean a drum carder. This is my method. There's lots of other ways. You can use a vacuum cleaner. You can use all kinds of other tools. But given the tools that generally come with the drum carder, those are the ones that are best suited to clean the drum carder. And as long as you use those tools the way they are intended, you're not going to hurt your drum carder. Okay? Anyway, so if you liked this video and any of the other videos in this series, please let me know. Give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter, and you can friend me on Facebook. And if you are interested in any of these bats, you are more than welcome to shop in my Etsy shop, which is going to also be in the description below. Anyway, if there are other videos that you would be interested in seeing, do let me know in the comments below, or you can also send me an email, Jennifer, Jennifer, @expertlydyed.com. Thanks for watching. Bye!